are kicking off Movie Confessions tonight. Ed Mankiewicz, Alicia Malone. This is where, over 2 nights, all 5 of the hosts, sitting with another host, will admit to a movie that they have not seen until either last night or within the last couple of days.
Yeah, we're confessing our sins.
This is our right. We're confessing our cinematic sins. And in Alicia's case, her cinematic sin is a Best Picture Oscar winner. What is the film?
It's The Bridge on the River Kwai.
You haven't seen The Bridge?
Outrageous. I know.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that I hadn't seen it because of the fact that when I was younger, pre-internet days, I decided to do a sort of self-guided film education. And I got all the books I could find that were the 100 greatest movies of all time, plus Leonard Maltin's movie guide. And I made my way through them. So I made a concerted effort to watch these kinds of movies. And The Bridge on the River Kwai appears on all of those lists.
Right.
So for some reason, I kept skipping it. Then my excuse in the last couple of years is the fact that I had never introduced the film on TCM, so I didn't have that excuse to sit down and watch it. Funnily enough, as soon as I chose it for my movie confessions, I got my assignments for 31 Days of Oscar, and it was right on there. But also, I will say, the fact that I had this preconceived notion about the film and what it might be like, and just reading a synopsis where it's a 2.5-hour movie in a prisoner of war camp, I thought, I could watch this, or I could watch Sleepless in Seattle for the 50th time. You know?
Right. So the idea of a war movie in a POW camp, that is not something that you think that excites you.
Yeah, war movies I don't gravitate towards because I think of the violence and the fact that a lot of it is based on reality, and I hate thinking about all of these atrocities that happened. But also they're just mainly wall-to-wall action. This one we will talk about, but it's not the genre that I necessarily gravitate towards because I like characters.
Sometimes the movie that you haven't seen, becomes an albatross that you don't recognize that you could shed by merely watching the
Sometimes
movie.
I become stubborn about it.
Right.
Like I was like that with Star Wars for many years. I hadn't seen Star Wars growing up. I'd seen Spaceballs. And even though Star Wars appeared on all of these lists and I knew it was going to be great, I became stubborn and I refused to watch it because everyone loved it. And then I watched it. I was like, oh yeah, it's great. But Bridge on the River Kwai almost became that for me too.
No, I definitely had some of those. I still have a couple of them.
Exactly. But this is David Lean, Alec Guinness, William Holden. You know it's going to be good. 7 Oscars. There was no thought in my mind that this would not be a well-made movie.
Yeah, and we're talking about David Lean, who we think of David Lean as the epic director. He had not directed a single epic until this one. This is the movie he made after Summertime. And oddly, without Katharine Hepburn, maybe David Lean never makes an epic, and maybe there's no Dr. Zhivago and Lawrence of Arabia.
Plus, maybe
Ryan's daughter.
Without this film, Alec Guinness doesn't get the international stage that he got in order to go on to make these epics.
And by the way, did you read who David Lean wanted then once he had the movie to play? He wanted Charles Laughton. And Laughton was not in great shape. If you're playing an officer in a prisoner of war camp, the whole idea is you're starving, right? So you can't look like Charles Laughton as we traditionally think of him. And Laughton was prepared to lose a tremendous amount of weight, couldn't get insured because they thought that would be too unhealthy for him to lose that much weight that quickly, which led to Alec Guinness. And although David Lean denied it, Alec Guinness said the moment he arrives in Ceylon, David Lean says, well, welcome, thanks for coming. I wanted Laughton. And Lean was like, Lean said, I immediately wanted to turn around. This was going to be hot and arduous, and this guy doesn't even want me in the first place.
Yeah, and I love that William Holden, instead of taking a bigger salary, he took a percentage of the profits, which worked out very well to him.
One of the great deals in movie history. All right, so we've dispensed with all that. You've seen this in the last couple of days. Now we're going to show it to you, and afterwards we'll get your thoughts on your first ever viewing of this great film. It is from 1957, the winner of the Best Picture Oscar, directed by David Lean, William Holden, Alec Guinness, Sessua Hayakawa, The Bridge on the River Kwai. This is the first movie of the first night of Movie Confessions, where every TCM host will sit with another host and admit to a movie they haven't seen. Kicking it off with Alicia Malone. Alicia had never seen The Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah, terrible movie, obviously. Really bad.
Well, interesting, because you said, which is clearly true for a lot of people, it's a little bit true of Jacqueline, who told me this week that she doesn't rush out to see war movies.
Yeah.
That so a prisoner of war movie, 2.5 hours, a little over 2.5 hours, was not your first choice. So That's why you didn't see it.
Exactly. This was very different to what I expected.
So what was your reaction?
And that's what I love about our jobs is we still get to be surprised by movies, even though we watch so many for our work. So what I was surprised by in a really great way is the fact that it was much more psychological. So it wasn't just about the building of the bridge. It was about the transformation of the characters. And I had no idea when we were first introduced to Alec Guinness's character, Colonel Nicholson, that he would end up wanting to help the enemy at the end. That was a surprising turn, but one that you completely believe because of the performance, because of the writing, and also William Holden's character. I thought he was going to become the kind of Steve McQueen Great Escape figure at the camp, but he gets out of there pretty quick.
Gets out of there,
And then he's not heroic at the end.
No, he's forced into heroism.
I love that. I think the way that it talks about not only the inhumanity of war, but also what war does to the individuals involved in unexpected ways. Each of these characters had their own morality and their own rules, and sometimes just slavishly following the rules.
Yes, that's clearly true in Alec Guinness's case, which you would never see coming through the first half of the movie, where he is in this
tin box.
Right, this psychological showdown with Sessue Hayakawa as Colonel Saito, who was nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Academy Award. To have Guinness then change the whole direction of the bridge, make it better than the Japanese could ever have hoped, but not, I think, because he wanted to build a bridge to help the enemy, right? He just thought this was the British way.
Yeah, we do things
this is how my men are supposed to behave. We'll lose control of the regiment, the men.
And I think it's really interesting to consider the fact of whether building that bridge, as much as it was helping the enemy, was good for the troops.
I think it unquestionably helped the men. I think Nicholson is right. It definitely helped them and gave them a sense of purpose in this place where there is no hope.
It also plays with your emotions of like, do you want the bridge to be blown up? Yes, you do. But at the same time, they worked so hard on it.
Yeah, they put the plaque up.
And then I thought, well, maybe Nicholson will see the charges and then just be like, I got to go.
Right.
But no, he takes them to the actual spot. I mean, my only complaint about this movie is that there wasn't enough Australians for me, because I know there were a lot of Australians involved.
And in fact, of the 12 to 15,000 POWs who died, many were Australians. There are many Australians buried in the cemetery. That's there now.
And also something that's interesting is the fact that you had two blacklisted writers who wrote the screenplay, and they didn't actually receive their Oscars until after they'd passed on in 1984. They didn't receive credit, so it's interesting to look at that as well.
Yeah, they gave the Oscar to Pierre Boulle, who'd written the book, and it's a little unclear, depending on what you read, of whether Boulle contributed at all to the screenplay. He didn't speak English at all, and both writers, Carl Foreman and Michael Wilson, they wrote independently of each other. Right? They wrote one version, and the Foreman's version, and then Lean brought in Wilson to work on another version. And there's parts of both of their contributions in the screenplay.
Critics at the time thought that it was maybe too ambiguous, the message of this movie, but David Lean said, and I think it's very true, that it's very clearly anti-war. And I felt that. But even given that, it was a surprising twist for a Hollywood movie.
Sure.
Hollywood movie, you would expect Alec Guinness to have that final thought where he explodes the bridge, but he actually, by accident, dies on it.
Yeah, no one dies particularly heroically. I mean, Holden is coming over there, but I mean, his last line is, they exchange that, you.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. And William Holden got, I think, $300,000 and that 10% of the gross.
Exactly. Alec Guinness won the Oscar, and he said, "I'm so sorry, William Holden.
You were the star of the movie.
You did such a good job." And Holden was like, "I'm fine. I've got millions.
I'm fine. I got the money." Yeah, that's right. So you're going to recommend it to others?
I recommend it. I mean, I feel silly saying that because I knew it would be an amazing film, but I was so happy to be surprised by it. And it was nothing like I expected, which I think is a good message. You can't have preconceived notions about films. You've got to go in and just experience them as they are, and you might find a new favorite.
Alicia, a good start to Movie Confessions. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Father Ben, for absolving me of my sins.
My pleasure. Alicia and I are done for the night, but coming up shortly, Dave Karger will confess his movie sin to Jacqueline Stewart. All of it's coming up next here on TCM.
Next on TCM, Blazing Saddles, then No Time for Sergeants. And later, the incredible Mr. Limpet. TCM is fishing for compliments tonight.